We used to have something that I think was commonly understood for a time. Things were a little simple. Now it's a bit of a mess. Just if you're paying attention in the trades and in the industry, we're struggling to know what it is we are and what it is that we do here. So we're going to try to bring a little clarity to that this morning. I'm glad to be in the Midwest. My name is Dan Granger. I am privileged to serve as the CEO of the newly merged Oxford Road Veritone One. Thank you. I was born in the city of Detroit, and I grew up on a street called Oxford Road. Now in 2013, that name came to represent something different. It started to represent a business, a brand, and a set of values. And for more than a decade, we were able to help brands and creators build in this space. Not just an industry, but a movement. And right now that movement is at a crossroads. Here's what we know. What got us here is not going to get us to the next level of our market potential, and the past cannot carry us forward. Audio podcasts unlocked the theater of the mind and fueled the Renaissance. I think many of us got into this business because of that Renaissance, because of the type of content that was made possible by this medium. But audio is now complemented by video. Video is here now, it is with us, and RSS is no longer the sole gateway. The question isn't whether we evolve, it is whether as we evolve, can we preserve what made this medium so precious, so unique in the first place? By the way, speaking of the movement, I just want to recognize a few individuals who have really kind of helped carry the torch on this whole thing. And that is Dan Franks and George Laughlin. Would you give them a round of applause for continuing to host this and call it a movement and say what it is? It's not just a conference, I hope. I hope it means something. And to our partners, we have so many partners here that have hustled with us over the years, pushing. So our firms, even though we were working competitively and are now together, we've leaned on so many of you. And I just want to say thank you. I look at people like Nancy, who have just been grinding for us and for this industry. Thank you to everybody that's helped us get to the stage that we're all on now. And I want to recognize a few other people. And that's from the group that is coming together with Oxford Road Veritone One. For a minute, I thought I was going to present a new name for the business to you today. But you know what? Part of how we work is that we really take in the views of our stakeholders. And we weren't able to land on something that we all felt really positive about. So we are Oxford Road, we are with Veritone One, but we are one organization. And if I could, I just want to ask the team that is now united to stand up for just a second. Would you please recognize the team at Oxford Road Veritone One, everybody? These folks are the finest. They are the front lines working with humility to bring these companies together with over a decade of expertise. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing to make this possible and to grow the business and to grow the industry together. We're trying to do right by our clients and our partners as we go. So thank you. About a dozen years ago, there were three of us who quit our day jobs and bet on this medium. And a lot of parallel activity was happening with the folks at Veritone. This was before cereal made it cool. We came here because we saw something different. Many of us came from radio, and we saw a new opportunity. We saw freedom. We saw possibility. We saw disruption. This was our Woodstock, and if you look at the picture here, you see our very young team, some of the early folks in our first year huddled into a WeWork office. And that was kind of the vibe. But in time, things got a little more serious, didn't they? Podcasters became famous, and the famous became podcasters. Real money came in, fortunes were made, IPOs occurred. And a tectonic cultural shift commenced, built on real conversation, not snippets or sound bites. And I think that's what sets us apart. I think that's why the audience trusts us. It's why this works. Whether you're running a pre-produced ad or you're enhancing that with an endorsement, which I believe is the most powerful asset in advertising. It's why the audience trusts us, and it's what brings it all together. And so for many of us here, we've been able to grow this business and feed our families. Podcasting has been very good to so many of us. That's Ira Glass, by the way, from a few decades ago. He doesn't actually believe that anymore necessarily, but I thought it was a fun picture. Today we're releasing a white paper. We just got picked up in Business Insider. It wasn't the paid version, but we're introducing some new thinking to how we define ourselves as an industry. But we started with the research, and it centers around one question: what is a podcast? And if you ask 10 people, even at this conference, you'll probably get 10 different answers. Is it RSS? Is it audio only? If it's only on YouTube, is it a podcast? What if it's live? What if it's on demand? What if it's a polished studio production? Is a Zoom call on TikTok a podcast? We're gonna figure this stuff out. And it's not just academic. This is costing everybody here real money. Podcast ad revenue is projected to hit $4 billion by 2030, according to how that gets calculated. I think we're probably actually already there, but I can't prove it, and nobody can prove me wrong because we can't agree on what it is that we're measuring. Think about that. And that affects the type of investment that flows into the space. When they don't see us actually growing the way that this thing truly is growing, people pull back and there's less bullishness on investing in building infrastructure and foundation. So I think there are four main components that are playing tug of war right now for our identity. And so the polls are really between video required and audio first. There's a real active debate about that. And then you have this idea of RSS, which was so fundamental since the beginning, and its role in adapting to closed platforms. And is it audio first or is video required? These things are making it hard for us to define. But if you can't define it, you can't measure it. And if you can't measure it, you can't monetize it properly. And that affects everybody here. That impacts the indie creator, it affects the largest studio, it affects Google, Spotify, everybody. Last year we hosted our second annual Chief Audio Officer event in Los Angeles. That's where we take some of the leading brands who power this industry and we get them together because most of them are actually, they might manage other channels, but they believe in this medium. And they want to understand how can they do it better, how can they overcome the challenges and unlock the opportunity. And so we do a peer-to-peer event that's really about learning. There's no pitching, that's the rule. And we let them talk to each other and share best practices. And we provide some data and we collect data. We polled them and we said, what is it that stops you from doing more in this field? And you want to know what the number one thing is? It won't surprise you if you're used to dealing with advertisers. It's measurement. It's always measurement. Only 14% said that it was better here than in other channels. 83% said that it's worse. And as long as I've been doing this, even before we started focusing on the emerging sides of audio, this is always the thing advertisers want to talk about the most. It is the largest slice of the pie. It is their main concern, and it is so stupid that we are still dealing with this issue. Yeah, if you felt that, yeah. Okay, it's like we've got a great car, it goes really fast, and it's luxurious, but there's 14 dashboards and none of them say the same thing. Try not to get in an accident. That's what we're selling here. We look sloppy. That's the reality, and it holds us back. Let me break this down a little bit. This is the world's dumbest marketing funnel, where we actually constrict the market before it even finds us. Video's rise and RSS's decline is actually killing some of the gains we made with pixel tracking. Advertisers were starting to get comfortable. They were starting to rely on the information. They were figuring out what they could trust, and there was standardization. Now we're losing ground. We're actually working backwards as the industry grows. So Here are some of the fundamental ways that we screw this up. There's channel confusion because we can't define it. And what that looks like is not only are they not sure if they should budget for podcasting or audio or radio or influencer, they don't really, every business has to decide in a customized way because we don't make it easy on them. Then there's overlapping budgets, where somebody who ends up owning podcasting within a marketing organization now has to talk to their friends in another department and compete for budgets, okay? We're losing hundreds of millions of dollars on that easily. Throw in brand safety risks, which are not solved when you have different units of measurement according to what platform you're on. Okay, we're really starving ourselves unnecessarily. We have unclear audience data. This affects creators, this affects brands, and the worst part is the unclear performance data. The fact that I can buy an ad that is read by one podcaster, and I have to use two different tracking mechanisms. We have to look at how many people click the link in the show description and try to marry that to the pixel data, which don't agree. We're measuring separate things. Guys, we can do better. We can do better. What we did was, one of the things we did, we started feeling this toward the end of last year, and we started talking to people, and we used our podcast, which we often do as an open lab. It's called the Media Roundtable. I hope you listen to it. We brought in 30 industry leaders covering all different stakeholder groups, creators, you saw some of them in the video, publishers, advertising folks, measurement folks, and we tried to nail down what is really important, and even as the industry evolves, what are we trying to hang on to here? Then we listened to the consumer. We partnered with Edison Research and commissioned a study. They surveyed over 4,000 Americans 12 and older. This is all available in our white paper that just came out today. It's available to you. And let me just bring out some of the highlights. This could be its own session, but I'll just give you some of the cliff notes here. 72% surveyed say a YouTube video with audio counts as a podcast. Not terribly surprising. 60% say that audio only on demand still qualifies. 52% say video only discussions on YouTube count. And only 27% say that visual heavy how-to videos are podcasts, so they do draw a line. Here's some of the takeaways that I got from this data. One, audio is the anchor, period. But Google's video tractor beam is very aggressively pulling us in, and the lines are getting blurry. People still feel what a podcast is. The average listener has a much more intuitive understanding than I think we give them credit for, and they know it when they hear it, even if they're watching it too. Now, this isn't just data. We're talking about culture, okay? There's a lot of people that want to kill the word podcasting. They've always been with us since the beginning. We jumped off the iPod in like 2014. We're still calling it podcasts. We're still talking about podcasts. We're at the podcast movement. But this is the medium that brought us Serial. We talk enough about that. The podcast election, regardless of how any of us feel about the outcome, this was the biggest power move for a medium since TV's role in the Nixon-Kennedy debate, okay? It showed that this is important and it has to be stewarded carefully. This is the medium of Rogan, of Color Daddy, of Midas Touch, The Daily, whatever got you into this. Google now claiming 1 billion active monthly users, over half of Americans are in. You know the data, you've heard it all week. From niche interest groups to mass movements, you cannot unring this bell. Podcasting is now an institution, and it's time for us to stop questioning if we're going to call it that. It's a settled issue. Now the question is, what does it mean? What's the essence that we're protecting as this medium evolves? What is that thread that connects the independent creator to the major media network show? What is a podcast? Today I'm pleased to present to you a new working definition for podcasting, and as I mentioned, we took great pains not just to go with what we thought it should be. Obviously we have our own biases, but we talked to stakeholders across the industry. And look, Nobody has to agree with me or us, but I will tell you, we really debated this thing so carefully, trying to think about everybody that's here and that depends on this kind of definition. Larry Rosen probably hates me by now because of how many rounds of debate we went through to arrive at something. But I think it's the best that we've got right now, and somebody needs to put something on the table. So for our firm, we've got a business to run, and that business needs to have definition in where we ask people to invest dollars. So let's get into it. Here's what we believe a podcast is. An audio-driven, on-demand program rooted in the spoken word. Typically episodic and conversational, podcasts cover wide-ranging themes and formats. They are accessed via open RSS feeds or other distribution platforms, and are often supplemented by video. Now, we're not going to memorize that and bring it out in a meeting necessarily, so we have a shorthand that we intend to use, and that is, if it works with your eyes closed, it's a podcast. We also have this video thing going on that makes things a bit more confusing. Sometimes you do need your eyes on the screen periodically. So we have a definition for that. That is an episodic, on-demand program rooted in the spoken word where synchronized visuals meaningfully shape the experience. If it needs visuals, it's a video podcast. You can call it what you want. You want to call it a vidcast, a vodcast, a simulcast, fine. Do what you need to do. But for us, it's a video podcast. And what we try to do is we try to make a bigger tent with this. We wanted to make room for the glorious past with RSS and the theater of the mind, and have something that lets us evolve with video and closed platforms, preserving our intimate and independent roots, but enabling ourselves to scale into the future. A couple things about the merger with us, Veritone One and Oxford Road, two of the leading brands in the advertising space in this business, have united. We are 180 strong. We have launched hundreds of brands into this ecosystem, and we are now the world's largest purchaser of podcast media. We are spending hundreds of millions of dollars in the space, and we do more than that. Podcast is our signature dish for sure, but we actually do more even outside of that. And we don't believe that that this has to be a situation where by us being successful, other people have to lose. We believe in creating a situation where we can have a little bit more opportunity for everybody. And I want to talk a little bit about how we see that working. We need a model that works for the solo creator in their closet studio so that they have the same opportunity to demonstrate value as the network with 50 shows or more. Those emerging voices from underrepresented community deserve the same clarity and opportunity as the established players. And speaking of mergers, in many ways, we're merging with Google. In a sense, as an industry, then some would say they are now a majority stakeholder in this space. But it's important that as we evolve, that those that we continue to partner with in our expansion remember some of our customs and pay attention to what it was that made this something that was interesting to be a part of, and try not to lose that spirit. We want a bigger tent, and it needs to be built around unity, clarity, and standards. Our job is to make the ads work for our advertisers. We're here to make them successful. That's our day job, but we believe that we can expand the pie for everybody in this process. Let's talk about measurement. Podcasting is now the last major digital channel without a unified measurement system. We've got walled off data, we've got sketchy panels, and a lot of black box nonsense that needs to stop. We've discussed this makes advertisers balk, they wait, they underspend. And so here's our call. We are calling all of you to join us in creating an open podcast measurement protocol. We can call it PMP for short. We can call it something else, I don't really care, but we need the output. And it needs to be cross-platform, privacy safe, and built for everyone. That means brands, platforms, creators. We're asking for full industry participation for all of our benefit. And let me just say, talking about the elephants in the room, YouTube, we need your help. We need you to work with us. Spotify, we need you to care a little bit about the podcast community and making sure that we have standardized way of talking to people. It will unlock more money for everyone. And if we can work together, I think we all win bigger. We'll keep growing no matter what. I know many of us, like our agency is going to keep growing. It doesn't matter what anybody else decides to do, but we can do so much more here. There is so much unrealized potential. And if we can stop embarrassing ourselves in our own confusion and bring clarity to the market, rivers of pent-up investment will flow. We've been in the wild, wild west long enough. It's time to stop. It's time to unlock the gold. And if we can agree, if we can align in this room, at this conference, we can unlock billions of dollars and feel great about the way that we're doing. This is about the future of the industry and ensuring that independent voices can prove their value and not have to make it so hard on all of our customers. That affects the independents too. That affects the little guy. So it's time to present ourselves a bit more seriously and get organized. It's time to open the pod. I'm going to wrap up in just a second here. Here's what we need to do right now. We have a QR code on the screen. I'll step away from it. You can get a few things when you take a picture of this code. You can get our white paper out today, What's a Podcast? Or What is a Podcast? And our limited series, which we ran the trailer for, that's out today. I hope you enjoy it. And we have a petition. We want Google, we want Spotify, we want others. Libsyn, which is liberated syndication. We want the main stakeholders that need to align on measurement to sit at a table and talk to each other and figure this out. We can be a part of that. We don't have to be a part of that. We need the IAB. We need to get this together, but we're going to do our part to facilitate it. Now in July, we have our third Chief Audio Officer Conference. We're going to Terranea by the Sea in Southern California. We have Stephen Bartlett coming to speak. And we're going to present this thinking to the advertising community and really try to show that there are efforts being made and to recruit them to help us advance those efforts and to have a voice and have a seat at the table. We don't want you to be left out of this process. Brands are desperate for simplicity, so join us, share it, be part of defining this medium's future rather than just letting whatever and whoever trends define it for us. Let me close by saying this. Our future is clear. We need to hold on to what matters, and that's authentic conversation, listener connection, and creator independence. We need to adapt what must change and embrace new formats. And we need to make room for everyone. That means celebrity podcasters, YouTube giants. We need to honor the feat of the unknown podcaster. I want you to think about that. I want you to have that in the back of your mind. The unknown podcaster with no fancy camera setup, no network support, no corporate backing, somebody who doesn't necessarily want to be platform specific or play games with algorithms. Let's protect the independent-minded true believer who wants unrestricted access to let their voice be heard by the world and judged not by their cross-channel promotional capabilities or how they rank, but by the pure, unadulterated merits of their spoken word. I believe that podcasting remains media's greatest canvas for the free and open exchange of ideas. Let's define it. Let's scale it. Let's protect it. Let's stop leaving so much money on the table. That's it. Let's move. Thank you.